Welcome back, scholars. In this video, we're talking about our shortest and perhaps saddest text. This is the oratory of Chief Logan, sometimes referred to as Chief Logan's Lament. It's unique in that it was recorded by Thomas Jefferson, who was present at the time when the speech was made, and recorded it from memory, wrote it down. And here is a portrait of Chief Logan. Chief Logan was a Mingo Indian chief, warrior, weary of war, and gave this speech to the governor of Virginia. Chief Logan came into conflict with the British Lord Dunmore, who wanted to acquire Indian lands. Chief Logan's sister and her unborn child were murdered and mutilated by Dunmore's agent. The speech was translated by Logan's brother-in-law, John Gibson, who'd fought against the Indians in the war. Logan was invited to come and have a council with Dunmore, but refused. Instead, he allowed his speech to be transcribed. Thomas Jefferson supposedly heard the speech. He was live and copied it down in his journal. He later published it. When skeptics claimed that it was a fraud, Jefferson presented 23 affidavits speaking to its authenticity. The speech is sometimes known as Logan's Lament. There is some question as to how much of it is Logan's actual wording, but the first part of the speech, the text comes from Thomas Jefferson, whose comments place it in the context of the great rhetoricians of the Western world. In Jefferson's words, "I may challenge the whole orations of Demosthenes and Cicero, and of any of the more eminent orator in Europe has furnished more eminent to produce a single passage superior to the speech of Logan, a Mingo chief, to Lord Dunmore, when the governor of this state, and is a testimony of their talents for understanding it." In the spring of the year 1774, a robbery was committed by some Indians on certain land adventurers on the river Ohio. The whites in their quarter, according to their custom, undertook to punish the outrage in summary way. Captain Michael Cressup and a certain Daniel Greathouse, leading these parties, surprised at different times traveling and hunting parties of Indians, having their women and children with them, and murdered many. Among these were unfortunately the family of Logan, a chief celebrated in peace and war, and long distinguished friend of all the whites. The unworthy return provoked his vengeance. He accordingly signalized himself in the war which ensued. In the autumn of the same year, a decisive battle was fought at the mouth of the great Canthaway, between the collected forces of the Shawnees, Mingos, and the Delawares, and a detachment of the Virginia militia. The Indians were defeated and sued for peace. Logan, however, disdained to be seen among the supplicants, but lest the sincerity of the treaty should be distrusted from which so distinguished a chief absented himself, he sent by a messenger the following speech to be delivered to Lord Dunmore. Here is the text of the speech itself. "I appeal to any man to say if I ever entered into Logan's cabin hungry, and he gave him not meat. If ever he came cold and naked, and he clothed him not. During the course of the last long and bloody war, Logan remained idle in his cabin, an advocate for peace. Such was my love for the whites that my countrymen pointed as they passed and said, 'Logan is the friend of the white man.' I had even thought to have lived with you, but for the injuries of one man, Colonel Cressup, the last spring in cold blood and unprovoked murdered the relations of Logan, not sparing even my women and children. There runs not a drop of blood in my veins of any living creature. This called on me for revenge. I have sought it. I have killed many. I have fully glutted my vengeance. For my country I rejoice at the beams of peace, but do not harbor a thought that mine is the joy of fear. Logan never felt fear. He will not return on his heel to save his life. Who is there to mourn for Logan? No one." Now, let's break this down. The rhetorical genius of Logan's speech is that it engages what could be seen as a biblical allusion. His words are similar to those of Matthew 25, verses 35 through 40. "I was hungry, and you fed me, thirsty, and you gave me drink, naked, and you clothed me." He said, "This is the way I've treated the whites. No man has come to my cabin in need and left in need." Next, he offers a defense of himself as a man of peace who has been a friend to the whites. He's addressing, rightly so, an injustice here. He says during the war he did not fight, and so the people called him a friend of the whites until such a time as his family was attacked. He lays the blame for this squarely at the feet of Colonel Cressa. His speech states first that he has glutted his hunger for vengeance, killing many, but being glad of peace, he will not submit. And he concludes with the assertion that he has no kin left, no creature shares his blood. As I said, one of the most eloquent and one of the shortest, but one of the most eloquent, much as just as Thomas Jefferson stated, one of the most eloquent orations that you would ever hope to find. It's just about a paragraph long, but it packs a wallop. It engages all the rhetorical proofs, and it is powerful. All right, so that is Logan's Lament. Hard to say. I hope you enjoyed this one, but you can see why this is an important part of our canon here. It's worth learning about, worth reading. All right, I'll see you in the next video.